What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show, Connect the Dots. Happy 2021. Welcome to a new year, new season of Connect the Dots. Today, I am joined by one of my favorite, all my clients are my favorite, but one of my favorite clients, Alec Chung. He's going to be blowing your minds with his mindset. So I'm going to jump in here and get him to join the call. We are going live, but again, welcome to Connect the Dots, and here we go. Alec, how we doing today, my friend?
Excellent.
Awesome.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year indeed. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite hometown heroes, Alec Chung. This guy does some phenomenal stuff, and we're going to jump right into it. But before we do that, I want to give a quick introduction to who he is, what he does, okay? But before we get started here, I want to know, the viewers out there, if you're watching this on replay, if you're watching it live, let us know where you're joining us from. If you're joining as a global audience from the States, I know some of you are from Mexico. It's wonderful to have you. Let me know where you're joining from, okay? So here we go. How to win every time with Alec Chung. A little bit about Alec. He is an HVAC and R technician. This guy is known as the mix or fix of everything, okay? I am not exaggerating. He approaches every problem with such an open mind, and we're going to get into that, okay? Who he loves to serve is actually humanity. Interesting enough, right? We can't survive if we don't help each other, and this is his deep-seated belief. If he wasn't a tech, he'd be building his own civilization off the grid. And can you imagine how hard that would be, building it from scratch? And, maybe I'll let Alex talk more about that. And finally, what most people don't know about him is that he's hopelessly positive. He believes in people even when they don't believe in themselves. So without further ado, Alec, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's incredible to be here. I mean, just to actually, it's been incredible to actually meet Alex and to have him coach me. I've discovered so much about myself, about, I've always been aware of myself and I've known a lot of stuff, but, it takes that extra perspective sometimes to actually, to show you. It's kind of like looking in the mirror sometimes. And, you have to find that right person. And Alex definitely was that right person. So
I appreciate that. Of course. And so without further ado, my friend, I call you a hometown hero because you're doing the stuff that not a lot of people can do, and we need you. I mean, I hear your stories. If I may share a couple, I hear you talking about helping out these huge facilities in the West End fix these tough problems that really keep them warm. You work with, everything and anything under the moon, to be honest, if I can be completely honest, right? And you fix it all. So my first question to you, you are tough mentally and physically, in my personal opinion, okay?
Thank you.
What I want to know is, what makes you that way?
Well, growing up, my mom, I have to give credit to my mom, right? She has been the cornerstone of my existence, right? Like, she's taught me so much, and she's never given up on me, no matter what. Right? And so that is one of the things that I was like, if she's not going to give up on me, I'm never going to give up on myself. So that's kind of what shaped me in the first place. Life experience, things come along that kind of set you back. Things make you second guess, right? And it's being able to actually go through that and not give up. That's what makes me who I am.
Nice. That mentality of not giving up and really persevering. How does that play a role in your everyday job?
Well, challenges, right? It's about solving puzzles, right? Like, people go and they buy computers and they play games, right? Like, to me, work is fun. It's you get into stressful situations. These are other people's stresses a lot of times, and once you understand why they're stressing over it, then you're like, okay, well, you know what? I'm here to help you solve that problem. right?
Nice.
And I have complete confidence, that if there's a problem, there's going to be a solution. There's never going to be something that can't be solved. Maybe I can't solve it tonight, but it will be solved. And that's the one thing that you know gives me comfort. And to anybody that's going into a profession where you need to figure out anything, find solutions, which is pretty much almost any profession, really, right? Because I'm not going to say that what I do is the most important thing in the world, right? What I do is just it's a part of the world, it's part of this infrastructure, right? And I'm doing my part, and I feel like I was born for this, right? To be able to actually have the opportunity to go out there and help people and solve problems and coach people and just be that positive factor. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
I feel so lucky to be able to do that, to actually have that mindset, and have been given that opportunity in life to do so.
Totally. I mean, I know throughout our sessions, we talk about how you have apprentices and how you actually teach them through being a leader and doing it yourself, walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And I mean, if we're talking about love for our job, guys, I mean, look at him right now. He's in his van right now. He just got off work and he's so dedicated to his job that he can juggle and integrate both the fun of this podcast and the work, and create that integrated life balance that most of us thrive for. So I just want to acknowledge that and thank you for showing up in full suit and armor. I think it's great.
Hey, this is just this is for my own safety, right? You got to see me, right? Because like we go to places that a lot of times people don't see, and that's
Good.
that's actually kind of one of the main reasons why I actually wanted to share stories, because like I've mentioned before, within our sessions, how being a tech and doing all the stuff, fixing and whatnot, right? You're seeing things that normal people, and I'm saying normal people as in normal people that aren't techs, right? That aren't doing what I'm doing. Um, they usually don't see that perspective. And in a way, to go a step further, almost, the people who say call us in, to deal with their heating or their cooling, right? Like depending on what season it is, we're actually seeing the opposite of what they see.
Hmm.
So if you're out, say for example, your heat's down, your furnace is not turning on, you feel a little bit cold. But imagine the tech that's upstairs in the elements, in the freezing rain, right? And I'm not saying this, I'm not complaining, right? I'm just saying that, because we are seeing things from an opposite perspective, it brings us this perspective. And, I think it's a unique thing where people can learn just by stepping on the other side of the picture, right? It's like, it's kind of like sometimes when, say, not a podcast, but maybe you have a cameraman, right? Like you have a cameraman and he's filming something that you're in front of the camera. The guy in front of the camera has a certain experience. The guy that's filming it behind the camera, he has his perspective, but rarely do you see that perspective from that guy behind the camera. And
Yeah,
so, in a way, that's kind of, I would say, the more perspectives, the better,
exactly.
right?
And you know what?
So,
I'm going to go ahead and do it. We were talking about it. I don't know if you want to reveal what's going on in your world with that camera and the different perspectives, but we got some people watching. Should we tell them
yeah.
what's going on?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right.
You
So
got to spread this.
yeah, you
Go for
got
it.
it. Alec has been working on this amazing project, folks, and you guys are going to want to check this out. He is giving you the behind the scenes of what happens with a tech. Basically, look at that. He's taking around a GoPro. He is creating this evergreen resource for techs around the world so that they can save a lot of time, energy, and money while they solve their problems. People make mistakes. It makes sense to learn from them. And I think Alec is going to convey that in his soon upcoming channel, right? So keep an eye out for that, folks. I know it's going to be great. I can't wait to see it. So yeah, that's a plug for you. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh yeah.
All right.
No, for sure.
That's great. So while we have here, we got people tuning in. What I want to do is actually invite them, to participate. And really, I want to know if you've gone through hardship, what got you through it, right? I think we've all gone through some sort of degree of hardship. But if you're in this conversation, I want you to participate. I want to know what you guys think, what kind of hardships you've gone through, and what helped you get through that. Okay. And while you guys are doing that, type it in the chat wherever you're logged in from. I want to ask my next question to Alec here, which is, how do you manage to stay so darn positive all the time? I mean, speaking from a place of complete authenticity and honesty, we get on a call, guys, and I'm wondering, does this guy sometimes does he really need me? He's flying all the time, okay? And he manages to stay so positive even throughout these negative times. COVID hit. People are not happy. I mean, morality is probably at an all-time low. But Alec has managed to approach every single problem with such positivity. So can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah. Like, I mean, like I said before, I was like, I'm hopelessly positive. And, not to say that I've never had any negativity. And, like, I've had an abundance of both. But, once again, it's the fact that I refuse to give up, even during those times, that has brought me back. And, the more you get brought back from the depths, the more you realize that, being in darkness is not the end. Right? Being in darkness, you're just waiting for that time when the sun rises, right? And you have that glorious sunrise, and you're like, you know what? The world's messed up right now, right? But, in order for us to get through it, we have to find the positives in things. And, if I can't go out, I'm going to go within. Because, it's, once again, it's about that switch in perspective. If you have so many, negative thoughts and you keep on spiraling, right? I tend to get stuck sometimes. And, I've been there. And it just, it just takes a step to the side. And it's always that, like I said so many times before, it's just that perspective that you have to switch. Right? If you don't, just step aside. Like, sometimes it actually even helps to, like, physically get up, walk to the other side of the room, and just look at where you were sitting. Right? It's almost like it's something, just doing that physically translates it into your whole mentality, right? Because now you want to see things from a different perspective.
Right.
Right? Because, just remember that darkness is just being stuck. Right? And how are you going to get unstuck? Get up. Get up and walk. Get up and do something. Right? Because if you don't do it, fortunately, you don't do it, you lose it. Like with anything in life. Right? It's like, if you don't exercise, you don't have energy. Right? That's usually how it is. Nobody's born with boundless energy. But you start to realize, as you exercise, as you get tired, you get the second wind, and you're like going again, right? Because, tiredness is not the end, right? Failure is not the end, right? These are all lessons. These are all in process, right? It's the cycle of life. And that's... Have I went off on a tangent here? Because
No worries. This is the floor.
Yeah.
This is your floor. I'm happy you're sharing your insights. And to be honest, there's so much that I hear in that, right? I mean, one, you're saying to, in some ways, dissociate yourself from the current reality. I mean, you and I know very well that imagining and actually physically doing, our minds can't really tell the difference, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
can get up, walk to the other side of the room and look at yourself, yes, or see your former self there, or you can
Yeah.
just sit where you are, kind of go within, like you mentioned, and just
Mm-hmm.
imagine yourself in the corner without moving,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
These are techniques that we cover, especially in our sessions, and it's so powerful, especially for those viewers who are watching. If you're feeling stuck, it's so important to just slow down, look at the situation from maybe a bird's eye view, right? And watch yourself and whoever is around you. And that may serve you in ways that you never thought possible. Right? Nice.
Yes. And that's, sorry if I'm cutting you off,
Go.
but
Yeah.
I remember you said that um, sometimes you wonder if I actually need you. Well, this whole perspective thing, right? That's why I need you, right? That's why it's not so much even that, it's a matter of need. It's a matter of, I want you there, right? I want that extra perspective, right? Because I want to move forward, right? I want to create something, right? I want to share it with people. And you know what? We can't do this alone, man. Like, there's a lot of things in life that, we feel like, if I go ask for help, maybe that's going to show that I'm weak, right? But that's so untrue, right? Because, you know, the strength is in recognizing that, you have strengths and you have weaknesses, being aware of that, and then, reaching out and, partnering up with people, all around you, whatever you're doing, right? Find the right partner for you to go out there and conquer the world. And
Love
so, I mean, that's the reason why. That's the reason why I've connected with Alex, and I mean, the whole Alex and Alec. Come on, right? It's like
it.
it
I
was meant to be, right?
know. You got for those of you on Meetup, we actually was, out of the blue and we were talking and just, it's amazing how relationships start to bud, right?
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next question here is, every day we're making decisions, right? And I think you mentioned in one of our conversations, sometimes these decisions can be a matter of life or death, right? You put a pipe on the wrong way, could explode, could do damage to the entire building, right? Or shock somebody. So I want to know from a text perspective,
Hmm.
what do you do before you make those tough decisions, and what helps you through those?
I find my center. I definitely, use techniques that I've learned. Right, a lot of them taught to me by Alex. Right? Certain things that I found that as I start using them, it came very naturally because there were things that I've done myself in the past. I just didn't do it in a very, um, you know, strategic way. Right? It was just something that maybe it was instinct, right? And that's what I would do, and I would just kind of like center myself, balance myself. I'd breathe. God's sakes, breathe, man! Like, because that's so important, and that's a lot of times I find that when I'm working with people that are say less experienced or maybe, not as calm. And I'm working with them and they encounter these problems and they have to make a choice. And I kind of just like pat them on the shoulder and I say, breathe, man. Because, and even when I say breathe, man, like, I work with women too. So it's not just men, right? There are women in this trade and, lots of them are in the, I say man a lot, just it's something that I say, but but yeah, so you tap them on the shoulder and you say, you know what, breathe, right? Exhale. You're holding your breath for the last 5 minutes. You're about to turn blue here, right?
Hmm.
You're not going to be able to think. You got to bring that oxygen into your system, right? You're going to calm your pulse and your heartbeat there, right? Just balance yourself,
Hmm.
right? Center yourself, and you will find the answer. The solution is out there, right?
Right.
It's not something that's it's not magic, or maybe it is, right? But it's
Feels like it, right?
it feels like it, but it's something that they call intuition, right? And you just have to allow yourself to tap into that intuition,
Nice.
right? And you will make the right choices, right? You just got to look at what you know because you know it, right? It's just, if you didn't know it, you wouldn't be doing it. They would, whichever company you're working for wouldn't have placed you in this situation if you didn't know it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You learned it somewhere. That's somewhere in your mind. You just have to be able to pull it out. And the only way you're going to pull it out is to take away all those distractions, right?
Nice.
That nervousness, that fear, all the stuff that is getting in your way, right? You got to find a way to just let that go.
Right. And yes, we've covered a couple techniques, finding your center. I'm glad that you use it and implement it in your everyday life, which brings me to my next set of points is actually competence, right? We have a few more people checking in here. So I want to ask them, what is your greatest accomplishment of your life? Okay. And now that's a big question. Some people are shy to share that, some aren't. But I really want to know, people tend to disregard their successes way too often. And really, I want them to share that. So if you're tuning in, let me know what your biggest accomplishment is. And going into the next question, which is, you we're talking about tapping people on the shoulder. You're saying how you lead
Mhm.
by example. So my question is, how do you impart your expertise and your experiences onto others so well?
I'd say that it's in recognizing the talent in the first place. Because if you don't want to learn, there's nothing it can teach you.
Hmm.
And, if you recognize that this person wants to learn, right, then you definitely want to, promote that. It's kind of like, I'm not the boss of this company, not yet, but, but, um, I will at least, I'm going to, you know, prom- make sure that this person gets promoted and gets put in a position to succeed, right, in the first place. And
Hmm.
usually, when I just shower the compliments and I say this guy is good or this girl is good, right, and the bosses hear that, they're gonna say, "What do we need to do to make sure that they develop the right way?" And that's when you know they start following me around or they start shadowing me and they take the courses that they need to take, right? But it's in recognition of what they inherently have in the
Hmm.
first place. And once that happens, then it's just about relating. We're learning from each other, right? This is life. This is not just work,
Hmm.
right? This is life. This is, you can call it a job, right? But the thing is that if I didn't have passion in this, right? If I didn't love what I did, right, I would not be wanting to teach anybody anything. I wouldn't even be where I am.
Right.
Right? And um, so, it's that passion and relating to somebody that has that same passion, right? And um, working alongside them, understanding what how they learn, just as well as you know just having fun too,
Hmm.
right? Being
Nice.
able to enjoy, right? And when I'm enjoying myself, I'm sure that whoever is working with me is going to enjoy it as well, right? Because we're going to have, you know, you know, we're going to have a great time just interacting with each other. And sometimes it's just about that interaction. It's about, learning each other's way, right? Like, I used to play a lot of sports, right? And team sports, and, you had to have that chemistry.
Hmm.
And, you know, if you have that chemistry and you're working together, right, you're instantaneously going to just learn from each other.
Yeah.
And if you're both open to that, right, and just opening yourself up to the world and to be able to actually go and sponge, be a sponge, and just take up whatever knowledge there is, right? Because there's times where I'm like, hey, I'm learning from this guy, and he's like, he's been in this industry for a year, and I've been in this industry for 10, 11 plus years, and
Hmm.
but I'm learning so much stuff from this guy. And sometimes it's
Nice.
not even technical, but it
Mhm.
changes the way that you think.
I love that. And what I hear in that is, you've been in this industry for a decade, over a decade, right? There's a lot of criticism that's been going around, and how do you really give criticism without having a person go within, kind of put up their walls and say, I don't want to learn what you're saying, right?
Hmm.
Um, and the technique that I love to share with people, and especially my viewers, is something called the rapport sandwich, right? I don't know if we've talked about this, but basically, you start off with a compliment, something nice, right? So you open their mind, just because, if someone's coming up to you saying, you're doing this wrong, man, they're going to close in saying, I don't really want to listen to you, or this is not feeling so good. So you open up their heart, their mind. You build that rapport sandwich by saying, this was really great. Highlight something that they've been doing right. Then you give the criticism, or the constructive criticism, saying, I think this may be a better way to do it, or maybe this way is a good way to do it, right? Obviously, you're not going to emphasize that they're wrong, but you may have to. And then finally, you close off that sandwich with another compliment saying, but, I really like the way you did that. So keep going.
Excellent. Excellent.
Right.
That's exactly how I would do it. I mean, not in those exact steps, right? I mean, um, I had a situation actually just about a week ago where there was an issue with this machine, and I was working with an apprentice, and uh, he was. I was like, so what do you think? How would you do this? And he made a suggestion, right? And he thought through it, right? Which is great. I'm seeing the gears rolling in his head, right? And he's thinking through it. He's like, this is what I would do, right? And I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, yeah. So you want to try it, right? And he went in there, and he was like, okay, let's do this, and that. And then I was like, wait a minute, like that's a lot of extra work, right? And I just kind of made a little joke. I was like, I'm getting old, getting lazy, right? Don't want to do that extra work, right? So
Hmm.
let's do it. Let's try it this way, right? I'm gonna get down in there, and I'm just gonna guide this through, and whatever we're talking about. But basically, at the end of it, I was just like, but you know what? That was actually a really great idea, right? But the fact of it is, I'm just I've just been I'm long into the tooth, and I've been in this industry for too long, and I'm frankly just lazy, right? so I mean, just kind of like putting a twist to it, and not being overly serious with myself,
Hmm.
right? And in no way did I think he was wrong, but I just thought that there was a better way of doing it. There was a simpler
Totally.
way of doing it, right? We didn't have to waste as much resources, and we would get the job done in half the time. So, but then, I made sure he realized that, that process of thinking through a problem starts there.
Hmm.
Right? And that, I'm not always going to be, the devil or the angel looking over your shoulder, but, when, you're standing there alone and you have a problem, right? Think back and, just kind of just ask yourself, what would that lazy bastard Alec do in that
Okay.
situation?
Pause you right there, my friend. We're going to give a little bit of reframe here. Um, you call it laziness. I
Yeah.
call it leadership. Okay. Right. What a great leader to me should be. You're allowing them to come to their own insights. You're giving them so they can actually use those gears sufficient, so that my lazy Alec doesn't have to be there all the time, so that he can handhold me to fix the problems, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Giving that space, really slowing things down and giving them the opportunity to grow. Which, I love how you segued into that, because my next question is, if you were to sum up what makes a great leader, which it sounds like you know how to be one already, what would that be like? What words, what key words really pop to your head?
Well, mainly, in order to be a great leader, let's see. Um, I say lead by example,
Mhm.
right? Because you can talk a lot, right? I talk a lot, right? You know, anybody that's ever worked with me knows this not so secret thing about me is that I talk so much, right? I can just talk your ear off. Um, but it's not about the talk, right? I can be talking about something else, right? And boom, I fix something, right? Or I talk about it and then I just get right down and I do it because there's nothing more off-putting than somebody that just says so many good things about how great they are, about how much they can do, right? And then when it gets down to the get down and dirty, and this is the dirty work, right? They hand it off to the young guy, the junior, the apprentice, and say, "Hey, you do it because you're the low man on the totem pole." Right? I don't believe in that. I believe in, you know, when I'm on a job site, I carry my own tools, I carry my own ladder, I open my own doors. Right? I don't need you to do any of that for me because I am not in any way incapacitated. Right? So, until I get to that point, right? Maybe if I'm, old and senile, right, then you can, help me open the door while I'm like, just like with my walker or something. Right? But lead by example, man. Like you got to go in there and you got to get in the trenches with everybody that you're telling them what to do, right? You might as well go and do it. Show them, right? I mean, that's the only way that people are really going to respect you. Because a lot of times, right, there's stuff that we tell people to do that is tough. That is not nice, right? It's not a nice environment. For example, I jumped into a sump. If you guys don't know what a sump is, it's where all the rainwater and the wastewater around like any building sinks into the bottom of a parkade, right? There's a hole in the ground about, depending on the sump, but around 4 to 5 feet deep. Um, and usually it's filled with water and questionable about where the actual water comes from. So, uh, and I jumped right in because I was like, you know what? No. Even though my apprentice was like, no, I'll do it. I was like, no, let me do it because right, I'm not going to be that guy. Right? I'm going to be that guy that I'm going to share the work with you, right? And we're going to enjoy this, right?
Mhm.
Because take a not so great job and just make it great, right? And that's the whole change your perspective, change your life.
Yeah, totally. And oh man, just you talking about that, a few things come to my mind is, you lead by example, yes, for sure. But what really resonates with me is that you're in there with them. You're walking the path with them. You're not saying, "Go do that. It's good for you. Try, go." Right?
Yeah.
Um, and really, you're not scared to get vulnerable or dirty, right? Because a lot of leaders, they say, I'm up here. They sit on a pedestal. And they're saying, here's the marching orders. Go and do it because I know what's best. It doesn't work that way, right? And I think a lot of people see that, experience it, maybe their jobs, maybe it's a little more subtle. But
Hmm.
something inside, they know that their leader is in it for themselves as opposed to they're in it for us, right?
Hmm.
So I'm glad that you live by that. And I think the best analogy that I can think of right now is, you can hire a personal trainer to train you, right? But they
Hmm.
can't do the push-ups for you,
No.
right? What they can do is make sure you don't get hurt.
Yes.
So in many ways, you kind of do similar things where you're there as a mentor. You can't, here, let me do it for you. That's not going to get them anywhere. You're going to show them how to do it, be there with them, guide them through it, and make sure they don't get hurt.
Yes.
Nice. I love it. Thank you for that.
Sometimes you're not. Oh, but yeah, you're welcome, right? Because you know what? I think that that's something that we got to care about each other, right? Just like you care about me, you were there to help me through. I wouldn't say dark times. I was a little bit confused, right? And I just wasn't really sure which direction I was going to take with this knowledge or this this way of living, right? And you shone some light for me, right? And I think that that's something that we need to pay it forward, right? And with another thing, I think it's so important to, you know, not just be like that leader that's always going to be in the trenches with him, because sometimes you can't. I was watching back in Remembrance Day. I was watching a war movie, which is I tend to do. It's like a tradition for me for many years, right? Is I want to get myself into that feeling. I'm not going to be in a war, right? But I want to pay respects to those people that sacrificed for us, for our freedom, for our way of life. And so I watched these war movies, and there's, in one of them, there was this soldier. He started out, as a lieutenant, and he made it, he eventually rose in the ranks, right? And when he was a major, there was one scene where he was seeing his men on the battlefield, and they were getting shot up, and he picked up his rifle, and he was about to rush in there, and then the general that was standing right behind him just held him back and says, "You're a major now. Know your place." Right? But he rushed because he did that. He was so anxious to get out there to be with his men. He wanted nothing more than to be with his men. But if he did that and he got shot and he was taken out of action, what would happen then? Right? What would happen to the army? What would happen to his men? And so sometimes you can't be out there with them, right? But just them knowing that you're there watching over them and that you care. And that's so important, the fact that you care. Right? And you got to show that.
Love it.
Right?
Awesome.
And that's I think I get long-winded, but that's the gist of it, right? You got to care.
Totally. I'm right there with you. And I feel that, especially in the stories that you tell, the way that you lead, you care. Your people know that you give two craps about them, right? So this was an awesome conversation. I want to thank you for that. But I want to jump into one of my favorite parts of the show is called Rapid Fire. Okay. We're going to send off a couple, questions to you. We're going to get to know Alec a little better here. And hopefully we're going to have some fun. Okay. Give me 1 second here to get those questions up. So,
Sure.
All right, here we go. Are you ready for question number one?
Yeah, sure. Shoot.
All right, question number one. Question number one, this is going to be an easy one. Leader or follower? I don't know why I even put that there.
Leader? No, I mean, let's just say I never ever actually really wanted to be a leader. I've always said I don't like to lead or like to follow. I just like to walk my own path. And a lot of times people, when you have that direction, people follow.
Yes. People follow passion. I know, I can see it. I feel it as you live, do your stuff. That passion attracts the people, right?
Yeah.
All right. Question number two. What do you value most in a friendship?
Loyalty. Honesty, actually. Honesty, loyalty. Come on. Loyalty.
All right.
Yes.
We'll let you have two answers. How's that?
Okay. Loyalty and honesty.
All right. Sounds good. Question number three. What's a secret most people don't know about you?
Secret that most people don't know. I'm such an open book, though. Actually, you know what? That's something that most people don't know about me, is that I am so honest that, a lot of times people don't think that I'm being honest. People are suspicious of my honesty. And I am just like, what? All right? Like, it's basically what I formulate in here is translated out there instantaneously, right? Like everything word that I'm saying right now is just, directly flowing from my brain right out my mouth, right? So there's no valve in between, nothing to stop me. Right? But I actually get pretty surprised about
Right.
how many people actually are suspicious, especially when they first meet me, right? So yeah,
Honesty is something hard to come across these days, so I'm right there with you, my friend. A lot of people like to hear what they want to hear, not what they need to hear, right? All right.
that is true.
Uh, Next question here. How do you define happiness?
Mm, happiness is when I can I can live my way, as to live with ease. Actually, this is what I've always thought about. It's like, when I tell people I live with ease, they think, okay, well, you're one of those pampered, rich kids that have nothing to worry about, right? That's why you live with ease, right? I was like, no, no, you should follow me around for a day, right? You should see, how much I have to lift. Should see how much um, punishment I put onto my body. You should see how much stress that I need to filter out throughout my day. Um, there's a lot of challenges that we go through, but living with ease means that, whatever challenges come your way is not gonna weigh on your heart, right? It's not gonna weigh down on your shoulders, and you're gonna live with ease going through every single step. You're gonna experience life, and you're gonna let life happen, and you're not gonna fight it, right? But
Love.
you're gonna be successful, and you're gonna believe it. That's what happiness is to me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Next question. What's one item that you could never, ever live without?
Hmm. Ooh, this one item. Does it have to be a material object?
No?
No. Okay. One item that I can never live without. Okay, I'm just gonna. It's gonna be an object, but it's gonna be a very personal object. It's my eyeballs,
Hmm.
right?
Love it.
Because I'm talking so much about perspective, right? So sometimes perspective is not something that you can see, but it's translated, and it's a symbol of what you can see, right?
Hmm.
It's a symbol of how you live your life, right? So you see everything through your eyes, which gets translated in through your brain, right? But it's got that symbol of sight, that perspective. That's what I can't live without.
Hmm. Lovely. Awesome. Awesome question. Or awesome answer. Favorite place to hide out?
Favorite place to hide out is, I actually have this place up in. I don't have this place, but there's a place that I go to uh, before the whole pandemic that we've been going through right now. Um, I used to travel up the Sunshine Coast.
Hmm.
There's a place. Here's a little bit of a plug here. It's called Secret Cove, a place called Half Moon Bay,
Okay.
um, and it's just the most picturesque little kind of hamlet of a town.
Hmm.
I guess over the years it's become a little bit more touristy, right? But all along the Sunshine Coast, like I'd say that all through that stretch, all the way up to like Powell River and beyond, right? Like Desolation Sound and those places. I love places like that. I just there's so much to explore, so much mystery, and just so much insight to be had.
Oh, I love that. So we have a global audience here. So if you guys are familiar with Vancouver or BC in general, definitely go check out these places that he mentioned. They are beautiful. Next question up. Last time you were emotional?
The last time I was emotional, mm, I'm actually, I would say that, and I've spoken with you about this before. I'm kind of a man of extremes, where when I have I have an emotion in my system, I go to the extremes and I just blurt it out, right? And I don't necessarily call it in a way that I don't lose control, but I will let it out and I'll express it in a certain way that I would understand. I'm not sure if everybody else understands, but so the last time I was emotional, I guess, would be about a month and a half ago.
Nice. Good. Next question up is what makes you smile?
What makes me smile? It's I'm always smiling, man. I'm always like, um,
Everything, basically,
you know,
right?
everything. Just I'm alive, right? I'm alive. I have challenges. I'm blessed with a life where I'm happy, right? That I can utilize my talents. I can communicate with people. I can do the things I want to do, and I have a long way to go. I can still do so much more, right? And to have that ability to live that life, to have the opportunity to be expressive, man,
Nice.
there's nothing better, right? It makes me smile
There
just
you
to think
go.
about it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Chocolate or caramel?
That's a tough one, actually. Caramel.
Oh, we can't be friends anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
No, no, you're wrong. Because chocolate and caramel go together too, right?
They do.
And so, think about this. There's a piece of chocolate and then a piece of caramel sitting in front of you, in front of us, right? And you're like, oh God, I gotta have that piece of chocolate. I'm like, have it. Don't you
Right.
think that works so much better than, you know what? I want that chocolate too. So let's fight me for it. And the next thing you know,
We're
right?
talking, we're talking about perspectives here, my friend. If it were you and me, I'd take that piece of chocolate, I'd break it in two. We both enjoy a piece each other, and we would just be in bliss.
True, true, true. But okay. You're right. You're right. You're right. I get it. Yeah.
All right. Finally, last question is what impresses you?
Actually, that's a perfect question because today somebody really, really impressed me.
Hmm.
Um, and it's about somebody's personal character. I work. Uh, Recently, this week actually, I worked at this building, and the person that owns the building actually has an office in this building. He wasn't in today. I've always been impressed by him. The way he handles things, and this guy's a billionaire. He has like so much property, and just uh, just to make. But then today, I went on site and I met his son. His son was working there as a maintenance guy. He was a maintenance guy on the groundskeeper and type of thing, and this was his youngest son.
Hmm.
And I asked him today. I was like, "This, I know his dad drives, has, one of many cars, a Lamborghini." Um, and I asked him, have you ever driven your dad's Lamborghini? He was like, he told me, no, I haven't. And I was like, why not? He was like, well, my dad asked me if I wanted to take it out for a spin, try it out, and I turned him down. And I asked him, why would you turn him down, right? Like Lamborghini, take it out for a spin, right? He's like, I didn't earn it.
Hmm.
This guy's 20 years old,
Hmm.
right? Most guys his age, right, are out there and trying to, flaunt whatever they have. A lot of guys out there. And here's this guy who I know has, a wealthy family background, and I'm just blown away by his character. He's like, I
Hmm.
didn't earn it. If I if I if I went out there and I made money, I saved money for myself, and I went and bought it, right? Then that would be the true experience that I'm looking for.
Hmm.
He says he loves cars, but he would not drive that car because he didn't earn it for himself. And not only was I impressed with him, I was impressed by his dad. I was impressed by their family because I've met their family, right? And um, every single member of that family, just amazing,
Hmm.
right? And that all just stems from you know, the 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 culture of that family. And that's what I'm impressed by. I'm impressed by people who can really, you know, live authentically and stay true to their beliefs, right?
Thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
I see this diagram in my head of, are people humble and hardworking? Does that make them rich? Or are they rich because they're humble and hardworking?
Oh, definitely. They're rich. They're richer if they're humble and hardworking,
Hmm.
right? Even if they were rich to begin with, along with that humility, and that hard work, that passion, right? That's just gonna make you rich beyond belief. And this
Love
is
it.
richness in health and happiness and everything, right? And it's not just about monetary, wealth, right? So it's definitely got to be more than that,
Awesome.
right?
Great.
So
Well, I want to say thanks again for coming on the show. Connect the dots, my friend. You did a phenomenal job. If you're listening, I urge you to think about what you got out of this conversation. We covered a lot of ground today. We were talking about the mindsets. As you can see from his face right now, if you're watching on video, he's winning already. He just got off work, but I can see a million
well,
bucks on his face. Um,
mhm.
so thanks again, Alec. It was a pleasure.
Oh,
I
thank you.
wish
Pleasure's
I'm
mine.
Yeah, and I hope I'm so happy for the people that get to work with you because they get to be in your aura. So keep doing what you're doing. People, if you want to get in touch with Alec, I will put his links, info in the description below. If you're listening on podcast, definitely check out the YouTube episode, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, see ya.
See ya.